Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Now, today we're doing a little video versus doing audio because I wanted to show you guys the new blog that I created. I think I did it on Sunday, and I started sharing it on this past Monday. So I'm super excited about it because, listen, it really goes into just stuff that people have a lot of questions about, and everybody's curious. And what I'm learning is that there's a large number of anglers out there that want to know the why. Okay, so a lot of my blogs are science based, and within the blogs I share my experiences as well. So this blog now it is long, so you have to take it in small bites, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight some, some topics in there that I really feel that are going to, open up some, what's the word for it? It's going to make you think a little bit the next time you go out, in other words. So, and the biggest thing is I want people to realize is that there's not just one way to do things, okay? And the fish just don't always bite at one time. And what I see in this world now is like everybody's so like they want to be they're trying to it's like sports betting, okay? That's a very popular topic right now, okay? And in my younger days, I did, I loved to bet on the ponies. That's like, I grew up, I grew up in a small town in Moline, Illinois, and that's what we did because we didn't have much else to do. And we went to the horse tracks when we were, because it was just a fun thing to do. And that's where I learned about odds and I learned about, all that other stuff that goes into gambling. So I don't gamble at all anymore. I quit that many, many years ago. But the guys that are betters now are really they're trying to play those odds on the moon, the tide, the timing, and then they're tying it into fishing. Okay, to get their best chances of scoring, I guess, making that buck, which is a wahoo, which is another fish, which is a swordfish, because it's happening there as well. But listen, I don't look at it like that. Now, there is some sense of statistics with it. And what I'm going to share with you is just what I call the science of wahoo fishing. It really goes into water temperature. It goes into some other things that has a fisherman we all look at. And all good fishermen are always playing the odds and looking at things and trying to make sense of stuff. And that's just why some anglers are better than the next. So, um, my goal is like I've always said, my goal is always to get people to catch more consistently and look at things differently, try new things, and become their own angler. Okay. Um, so just like you become your own person, you become your own angler. Okay. So let me show you guys the blog here, and I want to highlight a couple of topics that are that I feel that you're going to get like it'll make you look at things a little bit differently, and that's what it's all about: is challenging your mind, challenging new ideas, and that's how, things get better. So with everything, not just in fishing, okay? So let's pull it up here. Okay. So on my webpage, you can see, you can go to the home page here, and that'll take you through the costs of my fishing charters and the different boat options that we have and all that other good stuff, and more about Good Karma Sport Fishing and what we have to offer. But what I have here, you've got all the different podcasts that I've done over the years. But what we have here is the blog. And those of you that, that haven't read it yet, I would jump in because a lot of people are reading this, which is cool. So, and yeah, they've got a lot of great comments, and that's very cool. Like I said, as you go through the blog, you'll see why I write a lot of stuff. So it's just I like to talk about science. I like all this. I like anything that has to do with fishing. Anything. It's just something that I enjoy, and I like to share the knowledge. Okay, so the new blog I have out is how to catch more wahoo using the science of wahoo fishing. Okay, so what you do, you go to the blog and then you click on this, and then I'll have a store. I have some story here that you can start off reading. I'm going to scroll down here. Now, I've broken the blog up in two parts. Part one is Wahoo metabolism, and this is the why they have to eat, why they have to digest, and what their food ladder looks like. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that are new to fishing, okay? And people are getting frustrated, they're actually quitting, or they're they're not trying as hard because I just hear all different stories out there and how much things cost, how much fuel costs, how much tackles cost. Honestly, it's overwhelming for people. So what I've done in these blogs is I really want to break it down for people that have to understand that part of fishing is the actual science, okay? It's not going out and buying a new rod or line or lures because that other guy has it, okay? This is what's going to make you a better angler, is just understanding the fish. And a lot of guides don't like to talk about it anymore because, hey, that's why they're so successful, is that they understand what the fish is doing. So a lot of content is shifted to entertainment. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay. Now, part two of the blog is the Wahoo migration. Okay. Where they travel, how deep they swim, the exact water temperatures they use as the highway, and that's based on some tagging studies that have been out there for quite some time. Now, those tagging studies made their way through the rounds a few years ago, but it's been out for quite some time. So I actually did a podcast on it like several years ago before before the study was released. But what I did this time around was I really dove into it and pulled out what I feel you guys are going to get the best make the, obviously you guys are going to get the most information out of, and it's going to help you catch more wahoo this fall and winter. Anybody can catch them when the fishing's easy, okay? But we all don't have that time to drop everything and go when it's easy. So when the wahoo are here, these are like, as I go through this blog, these are things that are going to be able to help you um, catch more fish, okay? Or actually catch fish when they're not supposed to be biting. Okay, so part one, I go through the metabolism part of it. Some of the key takeaways from part one is the water temperature, 63 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, when you look at SatFish right now, you can see in areas where there's a good wahoo bite that the temperature, especially in the northern Gulf and those areas, like up by the Panhandle, areas where it's a little cooler, they're starting to see a wahoo bite. Okay, and then it's also northern parts of Florida are seeing that. So what you're looking at here is that what you can correlate it back to, and again with SatFish, everything kind of makes sense because you can correlate the bite to the water temperature. So that's one thing that I use it for. It's awesome to see. And over the years, I've gathered a lot of data, which is what it's all about. So for me, and I just do that because I like to do it. I like statistics. I like the trends, and it's just fun for me to do. Okay. So water temperature 63 to 81.5. Right now down here in the Keys, we got 83-degree water in the morning, and then or 82, 83. So it's getting there to where it's optimum, and you'll know when it's optimum because that's when it's going to go off. Okay, yeah, everywhere, not just down here. Okay, and then I talk about the constant need for fuel for the wahoo. They burn a lot of calories eating, so it just like us, it's like if we're burning a lot, we get hungry and we want to eat. So they need that fuel so they can hunt. So. And then I come down here and I talk a little bit about um, a lot of about the empty stomach thing. I hear that constantly, constantly. It's really about their digestion. And I've been fortunate enough over the years to catch fish that I've been able to correlate lures to, and that's something that am showing in the trolling plug course. Is that I'm showing different lures that I've caught fish on that match to the bait. Okay, so if you're and the guys that are in that course are loving it so far. So it's not too late. We got the trolling plug course available at Good Karma Sports Fishing, and then we'll have the link in the show notes. And then also too, I come down here, I get into some of the technical stuff that was in some of the studies. It talks about the food ladder. It compares the Caribbean Wahoo tagging. Like they did some, tissue culture studies with the muscle, and they were trying to figure out, okay, what's the Gulf Wahoo eating versus what the Caribbean Wahoo is eating. And so it's just that was an interesting. It goes into how they do that. They talk about different levels and how they use the nitrogen N15 with the iso with the how they get into that stable isotope analysis. It's whatever you do, don't get overwhelmed with that. It's just really just part of the whole gig when it comes to science. So just think of it like DNA tracking. You're trying to or you're trying to figure out all that other good stuff when it comes to CSI. So I call it CSI Wahoo fishing. That's a good name. So. Then I come down here a little bit and I go into I kind of explain the food ladder a little bit, and then the results are pretty cool when it comes to the Gulf Wahoo and the Caribbean Wahoo. So that's in here as well. Um, then you can then I so it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I really went into kind of explaining it a little bit more, just trying this so folks could understand that food ladder. Because I know a lot of guys are very new to fishing, very new to wahoo fishing, and they're really keyed in on just what lure do I need? Do I need to put ballyhoo out? It's more of a robotic response, but my whole basis behind who I am and what I teach is understanding the fish. And it isn't always about following the food either, following the bait, following the bait. That's not it's not all about that either. So it's just really about a lot of migrations, water temperature. There's just so much that goes into it, fishing pressure. So I think if we keep in mind that fish are like birds and they migrate, certain things kick off the migration and changes in light, and we're going to have a change in light coming up. And that kind of stuff really does do that. And you can go back into some of my blogs. I talk about the photo periods and how it triggers spawning. And just by going outside, sometimes you can look in the sky and say, "Ooh, something's different." And then you can see down here, we got the hawk migration that's happening is just ending. And when the pelicans kind of show up, that's when I know that the wahoos are going to show up in good numbers down here. So it's kind of been one of those things. So it's when the Hawks are done, that's kind of when it kicks in, and then you got the Pelicans will start showing up, and then I know that it's getting to be close to Wahoo season, where they're just going to be here. Um, so then I'm moving down here. Um, Now we've got the Wahoo's internal hunger clock. This is where I really want you to focus on is that their need to eat. Okay, what are they eating? Are they eating smaller baits? Are they eating larger baits? If they're eating larger baits, do the math. They're not. It's going to take them a little longer to digest. How hungry are they? Are they eating? Are they really pouncing on flyers? Are they really focusing on bonitos, or were they eating goggle eyes at night? So, I mean, just think about all that kind of stuff. And then I moved down here. This is something that I really live by here, and that is how metabolism predicts a wahoo bite. Remember, I've always talked about it's not always about the tide. It's not always about the moon, okay? If you really want to dive into it, this is like how metabolism predicts when they eat. Okay? This is one little tool that you can put in your in the back of your mind, okay? Because the more tools you have, the better off you are, okay? Especially when it comes to fishing. Okay? So I'll scroll down. So I really want you to focus, really read through that, and things are going to make sense for you. Things, people are going to be like, "Oh, now I get it." Okay? And then we get down to the why elephants eat peanuts, the snack versus the meal. There's a lot of theories about this, and really, it's like, what's the deal? I do believe that as you go through, you'll see that Gulf Wahoo eat a little bit differently than Caribbean Wahoo do versus how big of meals they want sometimes, and why certain fish are so in tune with smaller snacks versus eating a big bait. Um, so a lot of it is a lot of theory. If somebody tells you they have the exact answer, do they have direct communication to the fish? Absolutely not. So I'm not going to tell you I have the exact answer, okay? But I do know that what I apply every day is I apply science, especially when the fishing gets a little weird or I got to deal with a bunch of boat traffic, which we all do. I'm not the only one. I think people think that they're the only ones out there, and the other guy's saying, look at all the boats too. It's just part of the nature of the fishing game now. So this type of stuff I really have put out because I think it spaces people out. It really helps anglers understand the process of fishing. So it really gives them a little bit more, it gives you a little bit more confidence, and then confidence leads to making better decisions on the water. So and putting out baits and just like not getting so frustrated, especially on busy weekends where you're like, and it keeps that boat rage down. Okay. So that's a true fact. Wahoo Intel, it's like it talks about they're not picky eaters, you know. So I want you to go through that and read that a little bit. In every one of my blogs, I put what I layer gold nuggets and gold dust, and the gold dust leads to the gold nuggets down the road. Okay. Part two, I go over the Wahoo migration map. That's where I really dig into the studies. I go through the data and I break it down for you so you can understand it. Okay. And a lot of the articles that you're seeing is that you can't really understand what they're saying. So what I did was I broke it down so you could see where it was tagged from. I broke down each individual fish. I gave the fish a name so you can understand. And then I broke it down in this easy to read chart here. So check that out and what it means for you guys, okay? What the data means. What's so cool is that the data like it digs into water temperatures, okay? And then now we have all this technology. A lot of people are like they fight the technology, but you can use the technology for good and understanding and using it for education, okay? Just know that. And also good, also for me, I do like to challenge myself from time to time and not use like any sort of sonar. But realistically, just because you have all those tools doesn't mean you know how to use them correctly and what the fish are actually doing. Because, like I said, you have direct contact with you. There's a lot of education out there on what your sonars look like and what they're supposed to do. But how do you really know? You don't. Because are you down there looking, seeing what your sonar is seeing? Absolutely not. All you're doing is like reading that somebody else tells you. The best thing to do is to get out there and just apply, and start fishing and just keeping your brain open, turn off the radio, um, and just focus on fishing. Okay. Stay off the phone. The phones are horrible, man. It'll get you all distracted. And like I said, I see guys that are out there on the phone and they're like looking at what another guy catches. And that's the kiss of death. You're not, that does not work. Okay. Because then you've just distracted yourself from the fishing. So I thought I just wanted to layer in a Ryan rant. I call it Captain Ryan rant. That'll be a series that's coming up. I used to do some old school rants on my podcast, but I don't do that anymore. But I'm going to bring back some rants, and that's going to be a separate, separate podcast, or some of it will be laced into a blog as well. Okay, then we come in. I get asked a lot about what is the best depth for targeting Wahoo. Okay. You can go in, I laid this out for you here for the reader. I wish I really, when I first started this study was out years ago, and so it was like nobody really talked about it, but I looked at this study and that really helped um, as far as being known where to be. But also too, there's a lot more than just being in those depths to catching fish. Um, so go through, take a look at it. And then we talk about migration drivers. What's so crazy is how fast they can swim, and then they have them documented to where they're going. They could hear one day, gone the next. Then we talk about Wahoo sprinters' behavior, handling extreme temperatures. That's another. There's just so much in here. It's like, and then I'm going to scroll down here really fast. Now, I get asked a lot about water temperature. And one thing about certain zones is all summer is like really hot, like hot outside, but the Wahoo still bite. You know, you got West Palm Beach, you got up there by Boynton Beach, those zones. Well, you've got a thermocline really. That area gets up by that zone, up by Stewart down to West Palm. You'll get that thermocline that sets up. And then as you start, and then it'll be really bad fishing for a while, especially on the bottom. But the like with every bad comes a good thing is that the later into this into the summer and into the fall, that thermocline kind of does its thing, and then it becomes optimum, and then it becomes great for bait, and then the wahoo are there. The migrations of wahoo that push through from Boynton to Pompano Beach, they're a different. It's just there's a different migration pattern with those fish, something that we can like it's out there, but it's something off the scope of this blog. So again, sometimes I get off on these little tangents. So and then you've got the water temperature, like I've talked about. Red tides. There's one thing I do want to share. Some of the best wahoo fishing that we've had down here in the Keys earlier in the years. It can be related to having bad water quality in other areas. So I've seen times when there's red tides to the north, and then you've got red tides in the Gulf, and then we have a really nice early season wahoo, because they go to find good water. They're not going to be there. The bait gets kicked out of there. It's just they either push really far out into the Gulf, they grab the loop current, and they're in tune to where to be. Remember, these fish they have homing devices. They know where to be just based on genetics. Okay. So and then they end up down here all congregated, and then because it's bad to the north or it's not happening in the Gulf because it's this red tide or whatever else is happening, really bad green water or brown water. So just something to keep in mind when it comes to migrations. And we just finished up an 8-week migration that's available. And you got a whole bunch of data in there that's available on the Good Karma Fishing Tackle site as well. Um, and then yeah, then we talked about connecting the schools of Wahoo bait change preference. Something to read there. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up here. That's something that this is. So again, you go to blog, you got the how to catch more wahoo, and then you scroll down, you got stop getting taxed, and then go hacking the wahoo bite formula. That's one you really want to take a look at. Now, if you read hacking the wahoo bite formula and then combine, then go to how to catch more wahoo, things are going to kind of start lining up for you. So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're looking to book a charter with me, you can go to my website, goodkarmasportfishing.com, check out everything. Uh, You can send me an email at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Also, you can send me a text so as well. Okay. So for those of you guys that are looking to get an edge, we've got the Angler's Edge meeting coming up this Thursday night. Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar now. It's the 30th at 6:30. The meetings are recorded. So this is going to be a live meeting. The rigging crew, I did a live meeting as well, so I'm going to be doing those from time to time. So we've got if you all that's good stuff coming up. So, and if you're looking to get involved and learn more about Wahoo season and you're new to it, we're going to be talking a lot about it because I love it. I love it. I love it. Again, I actually just love educating on fishing and sharing with folks through all the different communities that we have and through the blogs. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you again. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.